Hey guys, in this tutorial I'm going to configure flowlog and track our EC2 access and send the flowlog to Cloudwatch. So let's take a look at the network diagram that I'll be working with. So here's the network diagram. So we're gonna use US East 1 as the region, and then we'll create a VPC, and then from there we'll create an EC2 instance in a public subnet. And then to get access to our EC2, we'll also need to create an internet gateway, and then we can SSH into our EC2, and then we'll allow the EC2 to have certain roles and permissions to send the flow log to Cloudwatch for visibility. All right, so let's take a look at the AWS console. So here is the AWS console. I have my VPC-A already configured with this 10.0.0.0/24 subnet, and let's take a look at this network diagram again. We are going to let's go ahead and create the Cloudwatch log group first. So let's go back into the console, and from here we'll say Cloudwatch, and we'll open it in a new tab. So let's create a log group. So we'll call this my CW log group -accept. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create two log groups. One will be to view traffic that is being accepted, and then the other log group is to view logs that are being rejected. So this one will say my Cloudwatch log group -accept. All right, and I'll leave everything default, create that. All right, and then I'll create another log group. I'll call that reject. Okay, we've got our two log groups configured. So here we are back into our VPC tab, and if we choose our VPC, let's see, let's create our flow logs. Create a flow log here. Flow log settings. Okay, we'll call this accept here. Flow log accept. How about this? My flow log -accept. All right, and then for aggregate interval, I'll just choose 1 minute, and I'll send the Cloudwatch logs. I'll send the VPC, the flow logs, to the Cloudwatch log group. And here's our destination log group. Let me just click on refresh, and this is the accept one. So all traffic that's accepted, send it to this log group. I'll choose that. Okay, so here's the thing. So here's the IAM role. So now we're going to need to create an IAM role to allow the EC2 instance to send the flow logs to Cloudwatch. So I'm going to do a search for IAM, and then we need to create a role and permission. So let's take a look at the network diagram again here. So in this network diagram, what's happening is, in order for EC2 to send the flow log results capture to CloudWatch, it needs certain permissions, right? It's going to need the policy, and then within that policy, we need to apply that policy to a certain role. All right, so I know through doing this that there's going to be a few items needed under the policy. So these are the few items here. For example, create log stream. We need to have the ability to describe log groups, describe log streams, and then also create log group and put log events. So let's go ahead and go back into the console and create a policy for that. So let's go ahead and type in policy here, and for policy we need to create a policy, and we're going to say choose a service. So this is going to be an EC2 service. All right, actually service, delete that, choose a service, Cloudwatch service. There it is, Cloudwatch. Okay, now we need to choose which actions to allow for the Cloudwatch service. So the effect is allow. Let's go ahead and take a look at all these options here. Okay, so we don't need to list anything, but let's make sure. Do we need to create, describe, create, and put log? Okay, what about read? Do we need read access? So in the read, I did say Cloudwatch, right? Okay. Okay, Cloudwatch, which one? Cloudwatch logs is what we wanted. Cloudwatch logs. Okay, so in Cloudwatch logs, we want to add a few of these parameters. They're all going to be log related stuff. So let's go back in here and just type in log. Describe log group, that's what we need, right? Describe log stream, right? And then create log stream. See, create log stream, describe log groups, and then create log group and put log events. Create log groups, and then I believe we need the put log events. There it is. So there's 5 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So just to recap again, the service is going to be Cloudwatch logs, and we are going to allow 5 of these actions: describe log group, describe log streams, create log stream, create log group, and put log events. All right, and resource is going to be all, and then we'll just hit next. All right, so the policy name, what did we name it on the network diagram? The policy name is my CW policy. So my Cloudwatch policy. All right. Cloudwatch logs. All right, and then permission is this. Service Cloudwatch logs. Okay, create policy. Policy is created. And then if we click on this again, and we want to search for it, so it's this, the policy we just created is a customer managed policy. So we'll choose that, and that should pop up right away. And if we click on that, this is what it is here. And if we click on that, it's a summary of what we allow. All right, so then that's that. Now, now we need to create a role to apply that policy. Role, so we are going to say create a new role, and it's going to be for AWS services. The use case for this is for EC2, for EC2 to have the appropriate role to send the flow log to Cloudwatch. So I hit next there, and then permissions, policies for this role. And then what did we just create earlier? We said customer manage. Click on that, hit next. Okay, and there's that. Role details, role name. What do we call the role here? CW role. CW role. Allow EC2 instance. Okay, allow EC2 to send flow logs. Okay, and then, okay, this is important here. The trust entities. This is what we need to add for the trust entities. Go back to the diagram here. So for trust entities, we need to allow a specific service. Apple C, and that's the flow log service. Oh, we got to edit this. Next. Let's go back to roles again here. Oops, cancel. All types. Let's see. Customer managed. Next. Okay. Policy, customer policy. I'll just choose create role right now, and then we can edit it later. Okay, here's our role that we just created, right? Okay, so here's the role that we just created. We applied the policy to that role, but there's one more thing we need to do, and that is create the trust relationship. So under trust relationship, the default is assume role for security token services. And we need to change the service from EC2 to VPC flow logs. And I had that in my diagram. Let me just pull it up here. Allow services. Go back into the console and edit trust policy. And here we say VPC flow logs. And I think that's it, update policy. All right, and so if you want to know what that is, basically it's this. You type in I am role VPC flow log to Cloudwatch. So here you are. I am role for publishing flow logs to Cloudwatch. And here is where I got my information. Basically, this is the the proper parameters that you need to create. And here's the trust relationship with a specific service name that you have to put in to allow the EC2 instance to send flowlog results to Cloudwatch. So that's where I got that information from. All right, now so let's go back into the roles here. This is what I created earlier. All right, so that looks good. Let's go back into the role and make sure we have everything correct here. Okay, so trust relationship is showing VPC flow logs. Okay, and under permissions, we apply the policy we created. Let's take a look at that. Okay, so that's that. Okay, great. Now, what do we need to do? So we created our VPC flow logs already. We created 2 log groups to send the traffic logs to, and we created a role for our EC2 to send it to that, but we haven't created this EC2 instance. So let's do that. Let's create an EC2 instance. So I'm going to go back into the console and I'm going to go into the EC2 tab. All right, I'm going to say launch instance. I'll call it my-ec2. I'll choose the default of Amazon Linux 2023 AMI, and then we'll choose the T2 micro. We'll need to create a key pair so we can log in into our environment. Okay, these are my old ones, but let's just create a new key pair. We'll call it my new key pair. Okay, we'll do that. Create key pair. Okay, my new key pair is created. All right, under network settings, we need to change a few things. We don't want to use the default VPC. We want to put this under the VPC that I've already created. So where is that? Let's take a look at that here. So if I type in VPC, see, I've already created this VPC beforehand. Here's the default VPC, but I've also created a VPC-A, and I assigned it this side of block. So that's what I'm going to use for this EC2 instance. So I'll choose VPC-A, select a subnet. Okay, now I need to create a new subnet. Okay, which VPC do I want to put the subnet in? My VPC-A and pub sub 1. I'll call it that. Availability zone 1A, and then CIDR block, VPC CIDR block, we'll leave that. And what did I want to call here? I'll call 10.0.0.0/27. Okay, great. And I'll leave everything blank, create subnet. Okay, great. Subnet is created. And if we look at the network diagram again, there's an internet gateway here, but I think I've created it already. So let's go back and take a look at that, if I created that already or not. Internet gateway. Oh, I got it. I have created earlier. Here's the internet gateway information, and I've associated that into the VPC-A VPC, so that's good to go. And what about route tables? Do I have route tables already created? I got 2 route tables here, a public route table and a private route table. So let's take a look at the public route table. Routes, subnet association, public, no subnet. Let's edit subnet association. I got 1 public subnet here. Let me associate this subnet to the internet gateway. Subnet association, I mean, let me associate that subnet to the public subnet here. Okay, routes. Okay, so everything is going out to the internet gateway. Okay, that's great. So nothing to change. All right, so let's go back into the EC2 instance. So since I've already created the subnet, if I pull down here and I hit refresh, that should show up as the public subnet I created. So there it is, pub sub 1. And then for auto assign public IP, I need to enable that so we can SSH into it. And then for the security group, we need to create one. I'll call it EC2 dash security group SG, access to EC2. Okay, we're gonna allow a few things, SSH, and what are we going, what source IP? I'm gonna say from, say, my IP. Okay, that's my IP there. And then I'm also gonna add another rule to allow HTTP traffic sourcing from my IP as well. And we'll leave everything else there blank. So we'll say launch. And by the way, we're just gonna do one instance. So launch that. Uh-oh. The series EC2 has already existed. Oh, okay. I created that earlier. So let me go ahead and okay, so I'll choose. So let's take a look at the security group and see if it already has what I needed. Security group. Our EC2 security group, and what do we allow there? Inbound rules. Let's raise this up a little bit. Okay, good. I allowed sourcing from my IP, so SSH and HTTP. So I can actually use that existing security group. So my EC2, I'll keep that name, and my new key pair, VPCA, subnet, select an existing security group. Okay, so EC2-SG is what I want. What does this do here? We don't need anything else there. Okay, this is important here. Just make sure you have it enabled for auto assign public IP. Go ahead and say launch instance. Okay, instance created successfully. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. Okay, it says it's running. Okay, so can we SSH into it? Can we SSH into it? So here's the public IP address. And let's go into my terminal. All right, so we needed a key pair and we've already downloaded that, right? So let's go ahead and change the permission on that. ls minus la, what was the name? My new key pair. Okay, so we got to change the permission. And then we say SSH minus I. My new key pair, EC2-user, that's the login for the AWS's Linux EC2 instance by default, and then the IPv4 address, which is the public IPv4 address. And then we'll say yes. Okay, we are in. Okay. Okay. So now that we are in, do we have any logs? Let's take a look at the Cloudwatch. Here's Cloudwatch. So we know that we were able to SSH into it. Let's give it a second here. Let's give it a second for it to populate. How about the other log group? What do we get there? Okay, while we wait for that, let's go back into our EC2 instance and configure a HTML page. So that way, when we pull up a web browser to the EC2 instance, it's basically our HTTP traffic, and then that should be able to send logs to Cloudwatch. So sudo yum update -y. Okay, so that's already updated. Sudo yum install httpd. And then we need to say sudo systemctl httpd start. Enable to keep the process running on the next reboot. Okay, so that's good to go. Now we need to cd/var/www ls. There's a HTML, and we're gonna go ahead and say we need to create like a splash screen, so that way when we put the IP address on a browser of the EC2 instance, it will tell us that we're able to get access to it. So we're gonna go ahead and say cd HTML. We're in there now, so sudo cat index.html. Okay, it's cat index.html. Boom. And then we'll say this is from EC2 server. And then we'll hit Control-C to get out of here. Okay, so now let's go ahead and read that again. Cat index.html. Okay, good. So now that we have that, let's go back into the browser. We'll get our IP address, which is this guy. We'll open up on a new browser, and we'll put in the IP address. And there it is. This is from EC2 server. So the web server is doing what it needs to do. Let's take a look at the Cloudwatch logs again. Refresh, there's nothing there. Let's take a look at the flow log. Oh, I didn't finish creating my flow log. Okay, so let's finish creating the flow log. Okay, so now we already created basically the IAM role. So now we have to choose the IAM role. So if I hit refresh here, the IAM role is the CW role. Okay, and then we'll leave everything else by default. And again, this one is for the my flow log accept. I need to copy that because I'm going to create another one for the reject version. Control C. Okay, create flow log. Okay, flow log created. Okay, done. VPC again, flow logs again, and let's create another flow log. We'll call it the reject this time. Okay, I'll choose reject to filter on. The aggregation is for 1 minute. Send it to the Cloudwatch logs. Which group? The reject Cloudwatch log group. Same IAM role. And we'll leave everything else blank and we'll hit create flow log. Okay, there it is now. That should be good. Let's go back into our browser and hit the refresh button a few times. Hit the refresh button a few times here. And then we're going to get out of here and then SSH into it again to generate the SSH traffic. Okay, I'm back. All right, let's go into the console. Let's look at our Cloudwatch logs here. So, log groups. There's 2 log groups. So let's look at the accept one. And look, there it is. There's a stream that's already created. That's already populated. Let's take a look at that one. Okay. This is all of the allowed access to it. And if you look here, the ENI of our EC2 instance, let's just verify that, ending in 5CCB. Networking. There's our interface, our ENI, Elastic Network Interface, 5CCB. And there it is. Public IP, private IP. Okay, let's go back here to our Cloudwatch. Oops, here it is. So this is definitely showing traffic hitting our EC2's Elastic Network Interface. Here's a bunch of different IP addresses. Now, I think this one is my IPv4 address because if I go to what is my IP, I got a .12. So that is allowing SSH port 22. So what if I filter on that? What if I filter on this one and then port 22? Refresh. Okay, there it is. Now I also was able to web into the EC2 server, and there it is. Okay, let's click on that. Okay, it's not showing any web traffic, so let me go ahead and just refresh this. Actually, let me pull up another browser. What is that IP address here? I mean, pull up another window, see if this makes any difference. Okay, go back to Cloudwatch logs, refresh here. Let's take a look at our security group. What are we allowing? HTTP, sourcing from my IP. Oh, 229.12. Is that what I had earlier? Yeah, 229.12. Okay, good. Refresh. There it is. There it showed up. Port 80. There it is. There's SSH there, and then there's port 80 there. So there you have it. That is our Cloudwatch, our VPC traffic sent to Cloudwatch. So let's go ahead and clean this up now. We are done. I just wanted to show you guys how I was able to configure a quick flowlog information sent to Cloudwatch. So let's go ahead and clear this up here. Let's tear it down. Action, delete log groups, delete. Okay, and then that's it. No more log groups in Cloudwatch. And then for the EC2 instance, let's go ahead and shut that down. Action, instance settings. Let's do this. Let's do EC2 instance. Check on that and then hit stop. Stop instance, hit stop, and might as well just terminate it too, actually. Terminate. Okay, so that's gonna terminate that. We'll go back into the flow log section and we'll delete our flow logs. All right, and see, where are we at here? Refresh, shutting down. Okay, I want to go into the IAM role and delete that, but it might not allow me because the ENI is tied. Okay, since it's terminated, I can go ahead and go into the IAM role and delete the policy that I created. So I will filter under refresh, customer managed. This is the one I created. Delete that. Delete this policy. Okay, that's done. Refresh. If I click on that, customer managed doesn't show up anymore. Under roles, I need to delete the role that I created earlier. Refresh. That's the role I need to delete. Delete that role. Okay, that's done. So instance shut down. We can go ahead and clean up some other stuff such as subnets under VPC if we want. Refresh this. That's the subnet I created. Action, delete subnet. Okay, that's deleted. And then I'll just leave my VPC for future use. But yeah, that's how that's done. And And hopefully you guys can view this and try this out on your own.